Hello, good evening all. Good evening all participants. Uh, Now the session will be start. Before going to start the session, I would like to introduce our today's speaker, Dr. K. Krishnamurthy Garu. Dr. K. Krishnamurthy is a distinguished scientist with over 32 years of experience in the field of environmental toxicology, environmental health, algal biotechnology, and climate change and health risk assessment. He currently serves as the chief scientist and co-chair of the waste management vertical, as well as the sub-vertical in charge of waste and chemical toxicity assessment at CSIR NIRI Nagpur. Educational background of Dr. Krishnamurthy sir. Academic journey began with a BSc in chemistry, botany and zoology from Madras University in 1988, followed by a MSc in environmental toxicology from the same institution in 1990. He earned his PhD in biochemistry from RTM Nagpur University in 2001, conducting groundbreaking research on the genotoxicity of hazardous waste and toxic wastewaters generated from selected industries. Under the mentorship of Dr. Tapan Chakrabarti at CSIR NIRI, he further enriched his expertise through postdoctoral studies in cancer genetics at the Rudolf Boehm Institute of Pharmacology and Toxicology, Leipzig University, Germany in 2005. Research and publications. With more than 100 research publications, Dr. Krishnamurthy has made significant contribution to environmental science and public health. His work is widely recognized and cited as reflected in his extensive research profile on Google Scholar and ResearchGate. Patents and innovations of Dr. Krishnamurthy's research has led to the multiple patents, including international recognition. Awards and honors of Dr. Krishnamurthy sir achievements have been acknowledged globally. Fellow of the Royal Society of Biology UK 2023 recently, INSA International Travel Fellowship New Delhi 2005, Fellow of the Academy of Science for Animal Welfare India 2004, AOTS and NEDO Training Scholarship Japan 2000, Fellow of the Society of Toxicology India, Fellow of the Academy of Environmental Biologists of India. Mentorship and legacy. A passionate mentor, Dr. Krishnamurthy has guided 14 scholars to complete their PhDs, with 7 more currently, and his supervision, his dedication to advancing knowledge and nurturing the next generation of researchers underscores his commitment to scientific excellence and social impactment. Dr. K. Krishnamurthy's illustrates career marked by relentlessness, pursuit of knowledge and innovations continue to inspire researchers worldwide, making a lasting impact on environmental sustainability and human health. Sir, it's my pleasure to invite you on today's session. Now you can start the session, sir.
Good evening, everyone. And this is the topic which I'm going to talk on, reducing carbon footprint at home and industry. So I'm Krishnamurthy, as introduced by the organizers. So our goal for carbon footprint is growing fast, threatening the environment, food security, and people's health. As we produce more carbon dioxide emissions, the risks to the environment increase each year. Therefore, it is vital that each of us contribute to reducing our environmental impact and becoming more sustainable by learning how to reduce carbon footprint. So before carbon footprint, I just wanted to inform, make you aware of what is climate change, what are greenhouse gases, and then go for what is carbon footprint and how to reduce the carbon footprint. So let us go on to climate change now. First, broader topic. The word climate change refers to long-term shifts in temperatures and weather patterns. Such shifts can be natural due to changes in the sun's activity or large volcanic eruptions. But since 1800s onward, human activities have been the major driver for climate change, primarily due to the burning of fossil fuels like coal, oil, and gas. Then burning fossil fuels generates greenhouse gas emissions that act like blanket wrapped around the earth, trapping the sun's heat, the radiations, etc. So the main greenhouse gases that are causing climate change include carbon dioxide, methane. So these are major one, and its carbon potential, the greenhouse potential are more. So these come from using gasoline for driving a car or coal for heating a building. For example, clearing land and cutting down forests can also release CO2 back into the atmosphere. Also, agricultural oil gas operations are major sources of methane emissions. Energy, industry, transport, buildings, agriculture, land use are among the main major sectors causing greenhouse gases. So, climate change. So, climate change and the greenhouse gas emissions and global warming are similar synonyms. And in fact, the president of US, Mr. Donald Trump, is considering only the global warming, greenhouse gas, not climate change. As climate change is a broader term, apart from US and other advanced countries. So developing countries are also included in this climate change aspect. So therefore, he doesn't want to pay compensation for others what they have destroyed the environment. So that's compensation he doesn't want to make it. Therefore, he doesn't consider climate change as a phenomenon. So he is considering only global warming because of their country is cooler and therefore it is getting warm. So what is carbon capture and storage? So let us go into what is the carbon capture and storage. So which could be key to helping to tackle global warming. It's a three-step process involving capturing CO2 or carbon in a broader sense by power generation or industrial activity, such as hydrogen production, steel or cement making, transporting it, and then permanently storing it in deep underground. The CCS, carbon capture and sequestration or storage, involves capture of CO2 emissions from industrial processes such as steel, cement productions. This CO2 is then transported from where it was produced via ship or in pipeline and stored deep in underground in geological formations. So how can carbon capture storage help prevent global warming? The Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, IPCC in short, highlighted that if we are to achieve the ambitions of Paris Agreement limit future temperature increases of up to 1.5 degrees Celsius, that is 2.7 degree Fahrenheit, we must do more than just increasing efforts to reduce emissions. We also need to deploy technologies to remove CO2 from the atmosphere. So therefore, CCS is one of the technologies and can therefore play an important role in tackling global warming. The carbon capture technology and how it works. Technology that captures CO2 from our atmosphere has existed for decades and is now being considered a key method for fighting climate change. So what does this technology look like and how does it work in practice? So this CCS technology is a form of carbon sequestration that is set to play a central role in helping us reach net zero by 2050. Year 2050. See, existing strategies to tackle climate change focus mainly on eliminating the carbon emissions from processes such as power generation or transport. But CCS looks at how CO2 can be captured directly from the atmosphere or at point of emission and stored safely within the natural environment. How does CCS actually work? There are three steps: capturing of CO2, transport, and storage. Then where are carbon emissions stored in CCS? Possible storage sites for CO2 emissions include saline aquifers or depleted oil and gas reservoirs, which typically need to be 0.62 miles or more under the ground. As an example, storage site for the proposed zero carbon Humber project in UK is a saline aquifer named Endurance, which is located in the southern North Sea around 90 kilometers offshore. And Endurance is approximately 1 mile, that is 1.6 kilometers below the seabed and has the potential to store very large amount of CO2. Similarly, in the US, there are multiple large-scale CO2 sites such as Citronelle project in Alabama. This saline reservoir injection site is about 1.8 miles deep. And similarly, as well as CCS, there is a related concept, CCUS, which stands for carbon capture utilization or usage and storage, CCUS. So this idea is that instead of storing CO2, it could be reused in industrial processes by converting it into either plastics, concrete, or biofuel. So therefore, there exists CCS and CCUS technologies in the world. So what is carbon sequestration? The carbon sequestration is the practice of removing carbon dioxide from the atmosphere and storing it it is one of the main approaches being taken to tackle climate change. So why this method is being used and the different ways in which CO2 is being removed and stored. The preventing Earth's atmosphere from warming any further is taking a huge collective effort by humanity. So from ending our dependency on carbon emitting fuels to establishing a legally binding net zero emissions target set by 2050, year 2050. So every potential solution is important if we are to stop unprecedented climate change. So alongside a transition to clean energy systems and decarbonizing high emission practices such as construction or transport, humankind is making a concerted effort to remove CO2 from our atmosphere by adopting the ways we construct, consume, travel, and generate power. But methods like carbon sequestration show how we can work with the natural environment to tackle the climate crisis. And carbon sequestration is the capturing, removal, and permanent storage of CO2 from the Earth's atmosphere. It's recognized as a key method for removing carbon from the Earth's atmosphere. And how does it work? This is important as around 45% of the CO2 emitted by humans remains in the atmosphere, which is a significant factor behind global warming. And carbon sequestration can prevent further emissions from contributing to the heating of the planet. And this can happen in two basic forms, like one is biological form and another is geological storage. Also, while it's being encouraged artificially through various biological and geological methods in small scales, it also happens naturally in the environment on the biggest scale. So what is biological sequestration? Biological carbon sequestration happens when CO2 is stored in the natural environment. This includes what are known as carbon sinks, such as forests, grassland, soil, oceans, and other water bodies. So this is also known as an indirect or passive form of sequestration. Then the CCS involves capturing CO2 that is being produced by power generation or industrial activities such as cement, steel making. This CO2 is then compressed and transported to deep underground facilities where it is injected into the rock for permanent storage. How can be carbon sequestration be scaled? So we are growing closer to technology that will allow carbon sequestration to happen on a massive scale. So if CO2 can be captured during any activity that offsets emissions, it will help us become carbon neutral or more quickly. The simplest way to scaling carbon capture is by encouraging our natural environment to grow while preserving what already exists. So reforesting, rewilding, or the reclamation of agricultural land will allow carbon capture on the largest scales, as will removing pollutants from our seas, lakes, and oceans. So next topic is what greenhouse gases. So what are greenhouse gases, also known as GHGs? Gases in the Earth atmosphere that trap heat. During the day, the sun shines through the atmosphere, warming the Earth's surface. At night, the Earth's surface cools, releasing heat back into the air. But some of the heat is trapped by the greenhouse gases in the atmosphere. That is what keeps the Earth's temperature at an average 14 degrees Celsius. The greenhouse gases under the greenhouse effect. The gases act like glass walls of a greenhouse. Hence, the name greenhouse gases. Without this greenhouse effect, temperatures would drop to as low as minus 18 degrees Celsius. That would be too cold to sustain life on Earth. But human activities are changing Earth's natural greenhouse effect with a dramatic increase in the release of greenhouse gases. So scientists agree greenhouse gases are the cause of global warming and climate change. So either way, like these greenhouse gases are important in case of the climates are very cold. But in normal conditions, it is not required. So that is why we are facing the warming problem. So since the Industrial Revolution, humans have been releasing larger quantities of greenhouse gases into the atmosphere. In the past century, that amount has increased dramatically with the knock-on effect of global warming. The global temperatures have accelerated in the past 30 years and are now the highest since records began. So what are the major greenhouse gases? These carbon dioxide, which is released through natural processes. So though it has got a GHG potential one, but its quantity is very huge, such as volcanic eruptions, plant expansion, animals and humans breathing. But the atmospheric CO2 concentration has increased by 50% since the industrial revolution began in 1800. So due to human activities like burning of fossil fuels and large-scale deforestation, due to its abundance, CO2 is the major contributor to climate change. Next to CO2 is the methane. Methane has potential of GHG of 40, but quantity of generation is lesser than the CO2. So it is produced naturally through decomposition. But again, human activity has displaced the natural balance. Large amounts of methane are released by cattle farming, landfill waste dumps, rice farming, and the traditional production of oil and gas. Then third is nitrous oxide. Nitrous oxide is produced through the large-scale use of commercial and organic fertilizers. The fossil fuel combustion, nitric acid production, and biomass burning are the major. Water vapor is the most abundant greenhouse gas. It increases as the Earth's atmosphere warms, but unlike CO2, which can remain in the Earth for centuries, water vapor persists for only a few days. Then there are natural and man-made greenhouse gases. The group of gases detailed above are naturally produced, but their increasing atmosphere concentration is man-made. So in contrast to the three industrial fluorinated gases, like apart from the four other gases, hydrofluorocarbons, HFCs, perfluorocarbons, and sulfur hexafluoride are solely man-made during industrial processes and do not occur in nature. Though they are present in very small concentrations in the atmosphere, they trap heat very effectively, meaning they are extremely potent. So sulfur hexafluoride, which is used in high voltage electricity equipment, has a global warming potential of 23,000 times greater than CO2. 23,000 times greater than CO2. So what can be done to reduce greenhouse gases? Greenhouse gases can be reduced by phasing out fossil fuels such as coal, oil, gas, and moving to renewable energy such as solar and wind. We can all play a part in protecting the environment by daily changes like reusing and recycling to bigger lifestyle decisions like switching to electric vehicles. A recent study confirmed that Antarctic ozone layer is currently healing as a result of global efforts to reduce ozone depleting substances. So the ozone layer is healing. Will the hole disappear for good? So there was an article recently published. The study demonstrates that joint international measures, in particular the phase out of chemicals I mentioned about CFCs, HFCs, and sulfur hexafluoride. So they damage the ozone layer that have led to a meaningful restoration of this critical atmospheric shield. Since we have phased them out, therefore the ozone layer hole is getting healed. So scientists, including the MIT team that led the current study, have previously detected indications of ozone recovery. However, this new study is the first to provide strong statistical evidence that the improvement is primarily driven by the reduction of ozone depleting substances, rather than factors like natural weather fluctuations or rising greenhouse gas levels in the atmosphere. And the recovery of the ozone hole, there has been a lot of qualitative evidence showing that the Antarctic ozone hole is getting better. This is really the first study that has quantified confidence in the recovery of the ozone hole, said by co-author Susan Solomon, a professor of environmental studies and chemistry at MIT. The conclusion is with 95% confidence level, it is recovering, which is awesome, and it shows we can actually solve environmental problem. So this is one of the boon for us. Like this finding is a good one, similar to the GHGs. So we can also able to reduce the temperature of.
Hello.
Hello. Yeah.
Hello. Sorry for interruption, sir. Sir,
Yeah.
just a minute, sir. Hello, participants. Don't raise your hands, please. It's a humble request. After the session ends, you have a time for queries. You have whatever you have questions, you can put on chat box. So our speaker will clarify at the end of the session. Okay. Please don't raise your hands here. It's a humble request. Yes, sir. Sorry for inconvenience, sir. You can continue.
Yeah. Thank you. So Solomon worked on this project with lead author and graduate student Paidong Wang and contributors from multiple other research institutions. The team's finding offers strong support for the success of international policy interventions, specifically the Montreal Protocol, which curbed the production of ozone depleting substances such as CFCs. So this shows some light on other aspects also, like we can, if we work together globally, so we can solve the problems, environmental problems. So what are we doing to reduce greenhouse gases at national grid? Like we are committed to achieving net zero by year 2050. So helping society to decarbonize is the biggest contribution we can make to the environment. So this means working towards the connection of low carbon renewable energy sources across the UK, India, and US, and achieving the technical capability of operating a zero carbon electricity system. So we are proud of what we are achieved today, but there is much more we can do. We believe we have a responsibility to lead the way and help drive emissions down across the energy sector and have a strategy to do this. And what is like now we go into carbon footprint. So what is carbon footprint? It is the total amount of CO2 emissions resulting from a person or a product or entity's activity. Then CO2 emissions come from various sources such as transportation, manufacturing, heating, and electricity generation, majorly from coal-fired thermal power plants. The global average carbon footprint per person is 4.7 tons per year, with some countries reaching as much as 23 tons per year. The US has an average of 14.7 tons per person of carbon footprint. This wide range is due to lifestyle, consumption, and behavior. The carbon footprint or greenhouse gas footprint is a calculated value or index that makes it possible to compare the total amount of greenhouse gases that an activity, product, company, or country adds to the atmosphere. The carbon footprints are usually reported in tons of emissions, like CO2 equivalent per unit of comparison, such as units can be, for example, tons of CO2 equivalent per year, or per kilogram of protein per consumption, per kilometer traveled, or per piece of clothing, and so forth. Depends on the products or the activity. So a product's carbon footprint includes the emissions for the entire life cycle. These run from the production along the supply chain to its final consumption and its disposal. To reduce your carbon footprint means mitigating your CO2 emissions and making a positive impact on the nature and the environment. So let us explore various ways of carbon footprint. These steps you can take lower your carbon footprint, such as recycle your materials. Like example, taking small steps like recycling is one of the best ways to reduce carbon emissions globally. The recycle your garbage and utilize the recycling services in your area. The general household waste that can be recycled includes plastic, paper, metal, and glass, etc. The cut down on plastic, second objective of reducing the carbon footprint. So you can make a difference by avoiding single-use plastics like straws, plastic bottles, and plastic bags. Instead, use reusable water bottle, steel bottle, glass bottle, straw, and cloth bag that you can carry with you. You will not only save money, but also benefit the environment as well. You can also shop at places that don't use plastic packaging and where, for example, you need to bring your own containers to fill up on products. You can also participate in neighborhood beach and park cleanups. So according to predictions of the UN, United Nations, more plastic will be in the oceans than fish by the year 2050. It is therefore not sustainable for us to continue using plastic packaging and products that at this stage. So offset your plastic footprint. The cut down on food waste. Third, the food waste accounts for 6 to 8% of global CO2 emissions. To cut down on food waste, you need to put food in a cool, dry cabinet or a refrigerator, or to properly store it and keep it from spoiling. And also try to pay attention to expiration dates. Also, purchase only what you require. Planning your meals for the week can also assist in purchasing only what you need. And by making small changes to your food consumption and purchasing, you can reduce your food waste as well as carbon footprint. Then fourth is conserve water. So your carbon footprint increases as you use and heat more water. There are few easy ways to reduce your carbon footprint and cut back on your water usage. So you can start fixing leaks, switch to a water saving shower head, and turn off the water when shaving or brushing your teeth. So these actions, small, though small, but may seem small, but over time they have a positive environmental impact and lower your water bill. Then reduce heating and cooling. So use heating and cooling devices. So in India, we need more cooling than heating, though it's winter is going to be over. So more cooling devices sparingly, and don't set them on too hot or too cold. So this can save energy costs and CO2 emissions. You can also use fans instead of air conditioners and use appliances like air conditioners on their energy saving mode. Then sixth is travel efficiently. Your carbon footprint will increase as you travel longer distances. As aeroplane takes off and landings produce most of the flight's carbon emissions. So if you have to travel by air, select a non-stop flight to avoid layovers. So several airlines also offer options to offset your flight's CO2 emissions. Then seventh is plant trees. Trees and plants absorb more CO2 from the atmosphere and produce oxygen, which is required by everyone, every living organism. On top of this benefit, trees also absorb other pollutants, cleaning the air, and they regulate water flow and the climate as well. When you plant trees, you not only help to reduce your carbon footprint through the CO2 the plants sequester, but you also produce your own food and contributing to overall sustainability. So this is one of the sustainable options. Then eighth is invest in green projects. Like nature-based projects are vital solutions to rising CO2 emissions and biodiversity loss. They restore vital habitat, boost ecosystems, and preserve biodiversity by investing in DGBs, direct greenhouse bonds, with 8% return on investment that power our nature-based projects. You earn attractive returns while helping to restore nature and make a positive impact. So DGBs are also important one for nature-based projects. So improve home energy efficiency on ninth aspect of CFP. So increasing your home's energy efficiency is another method to lessen your carbon footprint and in the long run save money. Make sure to choose more efficient power solutions each time you need to make home improvements, such as installing eco-friendly house installation or solar power. So you will benefit financially by increasing the house requirement, cutting costs, and even getting a better deal on home insurance. So 10th CFP is start walking or biking instead of driving. To cut down on your CO2 emissions, include some of your frequent short trip destinations on a walking or biking route. You can typically walk a mile in less than 20 minutes. So this is a fantastic way to get some exercise into your hectic day whilst benefiting the environment. So if you live reasonably close to your place of employment, one of the best ways to reduce your carbon footprint is to commute by bicycle, take public transportation or carpool. So you can also work from home if you can or switch to a more fuel efficient vehicle. Then how to reduce your carbon footprint at home? So there are various methods like you can reduce your carbon footprint by using insulation of your home. Then second, lower your thermostat in winter and raise it in summer. Third one, change incandescent light bulbs to the fluorescent bulb or the LEDs. Then fourth is recycle effectively. Then fifth, turn off lights and unplug appliances when not in years. So these are simple methods, but you can do wonder by reducing the carbon footprint. Then how to reduce your carbon footprint? Through transportation. So transportation, there are many methods. Like first one is drive less. Driving a car is a major source of greenhouse gases. Cutting down on the miles you drive is one of the best things you can do for reducing carbon emissions. Organize shopping trips to get more done on each outing. Walk or bike when distances are shorter. Go easy on the acceleration and brakes. So how much you drive is not the only factor to consider. The acceleration burns more fuel, so applying the brakes and speeding up is less fuel efficient than maintaining a smooth, even speed. Then third is regularly service your car and keep tires properly inflated. So when your car runs efficiently, it uses less energy. Clean oil, belts, and timing gears that are perfectly adjusted will help you get the most out of every gallon of fuel. Also, when properly inflated, tires require less energy to achieve and maintain speed while driving. So if the pressure is too low, your car is sluggish and gasoline will be more required than necessary. Then fourth is carpool. Sharing a ride to work every day or going shopping can reduce your carbon footprint. About 2,000 pounds of CO2 per every year. And use cruise control. You may not realize how much your speed varies when you are driving. We tend to speed up in certain conditions and slow down in others. Using cruise control allows your car's computer to accelerate smoothly and carefully maintain an even speed. Therefore, your fuel consumption will be cut. And cut down on air conditioning. Cut usage of most power intensive appliances. Running your air conditioning less frequently or raising the temperature so that your system does not work as hard will reduce your carbon. Then seventh is consider purchasing a hybrid or electric vehicle. It is easy to tell people to drive less, but that might not be possible in your situation. Sometimes driving an electric vehicle and doing your electric car charging at home can help eliminate the GHGs that your conventional car produces. So not all homes are wired for an electric car charging station. So rewiring may be expensive. So another option is to find an electric car charging station and power up there. Avoid flying if possible. So traveling by air spews more greenhouse gas, I mentioned earlier. So avoid flying or taking flights, or if it is necessary absolutely, then only you take, and that too the direct flights, not hopping flights. Then if you must fly non-stop, taking off, landing, and you can reduce your carbon footprint. Then reduction of CFP through food. So eat less meat and stick with fruits, veggies, grains, and beans. So raising animals requires more energy than growing plants. So when you consider using power to produce and ship their food, then ship them to processing and eventually to market. You are talking about a sizable carbon footprint. So one of the delicious and healthy ways to reduce your CFP is to switch to high protein vegetables and certain grains for some of your meals. Then second, choose organic and local foods that are in season. So it takes energy to plant, cultivate, and harvest food. It takes even more to transport it for processing, storage, and then distributing it to market. So if you choose, you eliminate that part of the energy use. Then third is reduce your food waste. So buying more, like you buy what you require. Therefore, you can reduce your food waste. Then compost. So you can compost. By composting some of your organic waste, you can cut down on the volume of refuse added for the dump and also create useful organic matter for fertilizing your garden. Then use reusable cups, plates, utensils, bottles, and containers. So the disposable utensils used once and tossed after a meal are a tremendous waste of resources, and it even contribute to your carbon footprint. So many items are made of plastic derived from oil. The carbon footprint includes the material itself and the energy used in manufacturing and transporting it. So it is gray, like cradle to grave approach. to take it. So it will take every aspect into consideration and calculates the carbon footprint. So once used, it becomes waste that consumes even more energy. Switching to reusable containers has a much lower impact on the environment. Then sixth one, turn down your water heater to 120 degrees Fahrenheit. So this may be a good idea, and they don't notice the difference when taking a shower or bath. Then lower your thermostat in winter and raise it in summer. Then turn off lights and unplug appliances when not in use. So many people waste energy by leaving unused lights on for hours. So another common energy wasting habit is leaving appliances plugged in when not in use. So modern appliances in standby mode draw small amounts of power all the time. So when you unplug appliances, you can save that small energy consumption also. Then change in incandescent light bulbs to the LEDs, CFLs. Then use a low flow shower head instead of wasting it. And then look for Energy Star symbol when buying new products. Like you can reduce how much energy your home uses by updating to Energy Star appliances that are much more efficient than older and non-rated appliances. Like smart kitchen gadgets connect to your smart home system for the most convenient and efficient operation. So our guide to energy saving kitchen appliances can help you make informed choices. Like choose renewable energy through Energy Choice. So many states offer Energy Choice, which gives you more options. So you may also be able to select a plan that powers your home sources such as wind and solar. So plans vary by location. So you will have to compare your renewable energy options. Then 13th is do an energy audit of your house. So this is important, energy audit. So hiring a professional to perform a home energy audit can identify how to make your home more efficient. And you can identify factors that affect your home energy usage and focus on the changes with the greatest impact. The 14th is the recycle effectively. The handling waste can be a carbon intensive process. So recycling them reduces the waste going to landfills and gives plastics made from fossil fuels a second life. While recycling programs vary by location, you can recycle common items and help reduce your carbon footprint. Use a low flow shower head similar. Then look for an energy, choose a renewable energy choice. Buy only what you need. Bring a reusable bag. Invest in quality products that last. The buying cheap disposable items from furniture to clothing, kitchen equipment might come like way of economize, and you may end up having to replace these items often. And it is better to spend a bit more for lasting quality. That means less manufacturing and less waste for lab. Don't buy fast fashion. Don't buy fast fashion. Like fast fashion is inexpensive clothing items that follow the latest trends. Retailers can bring them to the market in weeks, but at a cost. Fast fashion uses more water and energy for manufacturing and shipping. Plus, the products typically don't last as long. Then buy vintage or recycled clothing. Then support and buy from companies that are environmentally responsible and sustainable. Do business with companies that are sourcing materials and manufacturing products in an energy efficient, resource aware way. Companies committed to sustainability are doing their part. As you do your part in reducing carbon footprints, for example, Constellation is the leading carbon free energy supplier in the country and is working towards becoming 100% carbon free by the year 2024. So, how to reduce your carbon footprint? By taking action. And the purchase carbon offsets. Like a carbon offset is a certificate you can trade to fund waste for reducing carbon emission that you cannot do yourself. So you are offsetting your use of energy with the energy saving spending. So many power companies offer renewable energy certificates that make the purchase easy. Then talk to family and friends about climate change issues and carbon footprint. So while no one wants to be lectured or scolded, sharing tips for reducing carbon footprints can magnify the impact you make in reducing energy consumption. So you could be helping them save money too. Then find local climate action groups. Networking with like-minded people is a way to share ideas and form grassroots groups for more ways to reduce your carbon. Then speak to your local representatives and vote on policies that protect the environment. And there are 5R principles for effective management of waste, like refuse, reduce, reuse, repurpose, and recycle. And the recycling is usually number one on our list, but today it is not happening as it should be. It should happen. So according to 5Rs, 4 actions should be taken if possible prior to recycling, like refuse, reduce, reuse, repurpose, and then recycle. So incorporating this methodology into your business or your day-to-day activity, waste reduction and recycling efforts will minimize landfill waste and help take your recycling program to the next level, helping you enter the world of sustainable waste management. So how to apply the 5R principle? So applying 5R is business. Like in the 5Rs hierarchy, remember to treat recycling as a last resort after attempting to refuse, reduce, reuse, or repurpose, then followed by recycling. So before disposing of your waste, walk through each of these steps in the following order. Like refuse. The refuse, the first element of the 5R hierarchy. So learning to refuse waste can take some practice, but incorporating this step into your business strategy or home activity is the most effective way to minimize waste. So talk to your procurement team about refusing to buy wasteful or non-recyclable products. Then when working with vendors, refuse unnecessary product packaging and request reusable or returnable containers. Making smarter purchasing decisions and setting standards and expectations early in the process makes it easier for organizations to refuse waste in the first place. Then second is reduce. They reduce the use of harmful, wasteful, and non-recyclable products. Reducing dependency on these kinds of products results in less waste material ending up on landfill and associated negative environmental impact. We recommend always using the minimum amount required to avoid unnecessary waste. For example, when printing a document, print double-sided to cut your waste output in half. Then other commonly used items businesses can focus on reducing include single-use plastics, plastic packaging, organic waste, and styrofoam cups, etc. Then reuse. Single-use plastics have created a throw-away culture by normalizing consumer behavior of using materials once and then throwing them away. The rate at which we consume plastics has become unimaginable, and the plastic crisis has become one of the world's greatest environmental challenges. In an effort to reduce waste, reuse items throughout the workplace instead of buying new ones. Begin by focusing on one area of your business at a time, like the break room. Replace all of the single-use eating utensils, styrofoam cups, water bottles, and paper plates with compostable or reusable alternatives. Once you master one area, prioritize the reuse of for other products in your facility like packaging, food containers, printer cartridges, cardboard boxes, and rechargeable batteries. So one area by or another area, like one area, once you get accustomed, then you take up another area, and there you can make reuse of things. Then repurpose. For every item that can't be refused or reused or reduced, try repurposing it. Like many people in the green community refer to this method as upcycling also. Repurpose can be spelled as upcycling. So you may be surprised to learn how many common office products serve more than our one purpose. Like sometimes it requires using some creativity, but the possibilities are endless. Try using wasted cardboard boxes for storing supplies, like binder clips to hold power cords and chargers in place, and even mason jars, coffee mugs, and tin cans for holding pens and pencils. So designate an area, excuse me, and designate an area of your office as an upcycle or repurpose station for collecting and storing supplies. Encourage your colleagues to add items to the station they no longer need and to check there before purchasing new supplies. Embrace technology to help find more ideas and new ways to repurpose the items. And fourth, recycle. Last but definitely not least. So recycle once you have gone through all of the other four. Recycling is the most environmental friendly waste disposal method. If your business doesn't already, it should start collecting cardboard, mixed paper products, commingled materials, plastics, aluminum, glass, and organics. So most companies or homes we speak with are surprised by amount of waste they produce by establishing an effective recycling program. Click here for a breakdown how Roadrunner can work to save your business on waste and recycling management costs. Then what is carbon intensity? See, you are probably heard the term carbon intensity in relation to climate change and net zero greenhouse gas emissions. But what exactly does it refer to? Like understanding carbon intensity is a win-win situation for everyone. Not only will it help us to eliminate greenhouse gases from our atmosphere, but it can also save us money on our energy bills. Like by being aware of the carbon intensity of the electricity we use, so we can make decisions and around our energy use that will help us to play a role in fighting climate change. The carbon intensity explained, like carbon intensity is a measure of how clean our electricity is. It refers to how many grams of carbon dioxide are released to produce a kilowatt hour of electricity. So normally the electricity is produced by burning the coal. Now the concept has come. We use renewable energies, renewable sources like solar, wind, and other forms. So electricity that is generated using fossil fuels is more carbon intensive, as the process by which it is generated creates CO2 emissions. Renewable energy sources such as wind, hydro, solar power produce net to no emissions, CO2 emissions. So their carbon intensity value is much lower and often zero in comparison to fossil fuel generated electricity. So electricity with a low carbon intensity value will reduce carbon emissions overall, especially if we use it during times when the largest amounts of clean electricity are being generated. So why does understanding carbon intensity matter? The electricity that is produced from renewable energy sources can't always be guaranteed. For example, there will be less solar energy when the sun is not shining and less wind power when the wind is not blowing. So it's also difficult to store and use it later. So if you put the kettle on or switch on the TV during a time when no renewable energy is available, the system will instead need to rely on sources with higher carbon intensity, such as fossil fuels. So there you will be generating more CO2. So this means that knowing when low carbon electricity is most available has become more important than ever to help reduce our carbon. So being able to understand the difference in carbon intensity values could help us all make more informed choices about when we plug in and power up our appliances systems. The renewable energy sources are relatively cheap to run and maintain, and this is reflected in our energy bills as well. So better still, those with flexible time of use tariffs may actually benefit from lower prices if they can use more power when lots of renewable energy are run. Then our free Van to plugin app, it is available in UK, will tell you the best time to use electricity by showing you when electricity with a low carbon intensity will be most plentiful in your area. So our calculations show that if 1 million people switched to using their washing machine, when the electricity in that area was produced by cleaner sources, so we could collectively help save around 76,650 tons of CO2 each year. That is equivalent of taking 36,500 cars off the road. And by using tumble dryers at cleaner times, we could save 1,64,250 tons of carbon, which is then equivalent to taking more than 78,000 cars off the road. So how else can I lower my carbon intensity? As well as plugging in and powering up when we can see the carbon intensity is low. So there are other measures we can take to reduce carbon emissions, including use energy efficient appliances. Replace older appliances that are not energy efficient. Make sure your home is well insulated. Use energy for saving light bulbs. Fifth, adjust your thermostat to conserve energy. Sixth, get a home energy audit to see where you could make changes if they are affordable for you. You could also use renewable sources of energy in your home, such as solar panels and heat pumps. Then consider switching to an electric vehicles. So what are scope 1, 2, and 3 carbon emissions? Like many companies, including National Grid, are seeking to reduce their greenhouse gases emissions. Like when it comes to reporting progress, you will often see the terminology scopes 1, 2, and 3 emissions used. But what do these numbers actually mean? So on the road to net zero, one of the main ways that companies' greenhouse gas emissions are measured and assessed is to look at them within 3 different scopes. That is scope 1, 2, and 3. In order to take action to reduce emissions, we need to understand the measure where they are sourced from in the first place. Like the 3 scopes are a way of categorizing the different kinds of emissions a company creates in its own operations and in its wider value chain, like its suppliers and customers. It's not clear why they are called scopes rather than groups or types, but the name comes from the Greenhouse Gas Protocol. So, as per the UN Greenhouse Gas Protocol, which is the world's most widely used greenhouse gas accounting standard. As the Greenhouse Gas Protocol itself puts it, developing a full greenhouse gas emissions inventory, incorporating scope 1, 2, and 3 emissions. So, enables companies to understand their full value chain emissions and focus their efforts on the greatest reduction opportunities. So essentially, scope 1 are those direct emissions that are owned or controlled by a company, whereas scope 2 and 3 are indirect emissions that are consequence of the activities of the company but occur from sources not owned or controlled by. The scope 1 emissions covers emissions from sources that an organization owns or controls directly. For example, from burning fuel in our fleet of vehicles if they are not electrically powered. Then second scope is emissions. Scope 2 emissions are that our company causes indirectly and come from where the energy it purchases and uses is produced. For example, the emissions caused when generating the electricity that we use in our buildings would fall into this category because we are only consuming. So we are not generating the electricity. So electricity is generated somewhere and it is being put in use in our homes. So that is the secondary scope 2. Then scope 3 encompasses emissions that are not produced by the company itself and are not the result of activities from assets owned or controlled by them. But by those, it is indirectly responsible for up and down its value chain. An example of this, dispose of products from suppliers. Like scope 3 emissions include all sources not within the scope 1 and 2 boundaries. Like some of the scope 1, like direct emission. So direct emissions that are owned or controlled by a company. So emissions from sources that an organization owns. An example for burning fuel in the company's fleet of vehicles if they are not electrically powered. So the fossil fuel powered vehicles is the scope 1. Then scope 2, indirect emissions, that are causes indirectly that come from where the energy it purchases and uses. So examples are the emissions caused by the generation of electricity that is used in the company's buildings. Then third one is again indirect, and it does no any control on its generation and usage. So when the example company buys, uses, and disposes of products from suppliers. So that is the scope 3. Then how easy it is to reduce scope 1, 2, 3 emissions. So there are lots of considerations beyond emissions alone, such as cost and practicality. But to an extent, we can choose whether our fleet is low or zero emissions. We can determine how our buildings are warmed. Then, however, a soft drinks maker can't control how we will dispose of its plastic bottles. Nor can an appliance manufacturer decree whether we use the most or least eco-friendly settings on our laundry machines. So it is somewhat easier to quantify emissions for scopes 1 and 2 for energy use. For example, companies can source the data needed to convert direct purchases of gas and electricity into a value for the associated greenhouse gases. However, for many organizations, scope 3 emissions account for by far the highest proportion of total emissions. Unfortunately, these are also usually the hardest to reduce. Some of the actions a company can take to reduce these is to work with existing suppliers and their customers on solutions to tackle the emissions. So this is another example, scope 1 and 2 emissions. Like the diagram shows the main sources of our scope 1 and 2, like GHG emissions of scope 2 indirect, like upstream, line losses on our electricity transmission and distribution lines, energy purchased for use at our facilities, LNGs. Then scope 3, indirect again, so generation and of the electricity used by our customers. Then scope 1 is our operations. So leaks and venting from our gas transmission and distribution systems. So this can be taken care. Sulfur hexafluoride leaks from our equipment, fleet fuel use, LNG venting fuel. Then there are another downstream use of gas we provide to our customers. So this is scope 3 where company doesn't have any control. So with this, I thank your patient hearing.
Chat box, sir. I open the chat box now.
That's what. So I will
Participants,
stop
you can
sharing.
ask the questions in the chat box.
Yeah. When I stop sharing, then only I can be able to go.
Yeah. Participants, now you can ask the questions in chat box.
Let me go to chat.
Sir, one question arrives from Vivek.
Mhm.
For carbon intensity, is there any standard, sir?
No, the screen, I'm not able to see the screen. Where do I find the screen?
Sir, just in the pop-up, sir. Just now there is a 3 buttons now. Before your that the
Okay.
symbol and
Sorry.
symbol of
Next
hand.
screen, yeah. So this one, na? Chat with everyone on.
Yeah.
Yeah. So who was asked?
Vivek, sir.
No, I'm not able to see. Only
Vivek, question is, sir, for carbon intensity, is there any standard, sir?
For farmers.
For carbon intensity.
Carbon intensity, yeah, there are standards. So there are standards available, like carbon intensity. So you can like intensity, like the electricity generation. So using the renewable sources, if you generate electricity, so it will not have carbon footprint. It will have net zero CO2. So therefore, it will have zero CO2.
Yes, sir. Next question from Padmaja, sir. How can carbon footprint content is calculated for cement?
Per cement, yeah. See, cement is produced by burning coal and other mixtures. So when we take into the consideration of the generation, like usage of electricity, then raw materials. So in the approach of LCA, life cycle assessment, so we can devise, we can identify per kg of cement how much energy has been utilized. So that way we can work it out.
Participant, you can ask the questions here in chat box so that I convey your questions to the speaker.
So it's it open queue is the chat box.
Yeah, chat box is open, sir. Because of the huge participants, we have muted audio and video. So through chat box, we can go for questions. So that's why every session we are doing that because there is a huge of participants. Hello, participants, you can ask questions here. Till 25 minutes is there.
Yeah, there is one Kadim
Yeah.
law. In atmosphere, how carbon footprint is found. So atmosphere, like how much carbon we emit. So that itself is a carbon footprint. The amount of carbon emission is carbon footprint. Correct. So can you list the standard for scope 1, 2, and 3?
Scope 1, 2, 3.
Yeah. So yeah, it is there available. In the scope 1, 2, we can have a standard, but for 3, it's not possible because 3 is indirect and the company doesn't have any control over it. So it has to buy from outside and use it. And how much it is using, that is also not possible to calculate at this stage. So 1 and 2 is possible. For 3rd, it is not possible.
Hello, participants. Please, it's a humble request. Don't raise your hand. Just you post the queries in the chat box. Sir, Vivek is conveying thanks for you for clearing the doubt.
Yeah, thank you.
Participant speaker is waiting for your questions here.
Yeah, is there any risks in reducing carbon footprint? No, there is no risk. In fact, it is good for the person reducing the carbon footprint and as well as to the environment. So it doesn't have any risk. Rather, it is beneficial. Yeah. So
Participants, you can ask questions here in chat box.
I answered about cement.
Yeah.
Risk. Yeah. 3, 4 questions are there.
Sir, another question. Is there any carbon
Sequestration sites in India? Yeah, there are. There are different sites. So they are working on it. And even R&D activities are also going on, apart from the sites. Like Reliance, they are working on it. And the government organizations also are working on it.
Hello, participants. Once again, I'm reminding that still 20 minutes is there for your queries. You can ask here. So after that, we'll share feedback link. Ask queries here. Mr. Nagaraju Mangalagiri, you can ask question in chat box, sir. It is a humble request.
What is the question?
Nagaraju is raising hand. So I'm telling him to just if
yeah,
there is
in the chat box.
Post in the chat box. Sir, another question. Is there any scope for machine learning in carbon footprint analysis and reduction?
Yeah. So like AML, it can be used in reducing the carbon footprint. Like if we have a carbon footprint calculation used in AI, so it can suggest us the limit, how much we can inform the limit. Like my CFP should not go beyond 1,000. Then at the point of 1,000 emissions, it will give us alarm like, yeah, you have crossed your limit. So then we can audit where and all we have used, and accordingly we can reduce it. So that can be retrofitted. So similar to alarms.
So again, she continue the questions. Where can we get the data set, sir?
What role do governments and policies play in reducing carbon footprint? See, the government is making rules and regulations and even policies to reduce the, and even we are party to the UN. By 2050, we should be net zero. So accordingly, we need to work on the footprints generation. So therefore, our government is working on to increase the uh, renewable energy based electricity generation. More of wind and solar and nuclear energies, so that we will become net zero by 2050, year 2050. But we have committed for 2070, not 50. India is committed for 2070. So that way, government plays a role.
Is anyone having queries? Please, you can ask here. Again, she's asking about data sets, sir. Data sets.
To add data sets.
Uh,
What what do you mean data sets? Like whether we can use data sets in carbon footprint reduction?
yeah, I
Yeah,
think her question is
or
continuation.
carbon
Is that,
analysis. Yeah.
yeah,
So that can be used like similar to AML. We can use, these are the data sets only. Na? AML if you use, so that generates data. So it can be very well fit into carbon analysis. As we know, electrical vehicles are considered to decrease carbon footprints, but they concentrate carbon footprints in case of lithium extraction. Okay. So lithium extraction, like the lithium mines, so that will also have a impact when lithium is extracted. So it will have a carbon footprint, definitely. So once it is produced, like lithium is ready, battery ready, when you use it, that will be efficient one, energy efficient one. So if you compare it with other non-renewable like fossil fuels, so lithium battery is much more energy efficient. By
sir,
net zero
sir,
carbon footprint by 2070, is it possible to eliminate cement production completely? Like cement production will be there, it will be eco-friendly method of production of cement will be there. So methodology will be changed. So if you show what will be the construction material, cement will be there, but its production like carbon footprint will be reduced. Really good question. In place of cement, what will be the other material? Like alternate materials also maybe checked.
participant chat box is open. You can ask queries. 10 minutes more. Next question arises, Dr. Rajan Kumar. What could be the possible manufacturing process to reduce the carbon footprint while producing cement?
What could be the possible manufacturing process? Like see, when we use the raw materials like oil and the coal, burning coal, instead of coal, we use the renewable energy. So that itself will offset your carbon footprint. And apart from that, the other materials. So if the material, what you are using now, it has CFP more, then they may go for alternate materials.
Any other questions, participants? You can ask now. Still, there are 20 minutes.
Yeah, but in that case, we won't achieve net zero carbon footprint, as well as we will be using coal and other fossil fuels for production of cement. No, that will be alternate. Alternate to fossil fuel will be used. Other energy sources. And how does reducing carbon emissions contribute to sustainability? So when you don't release carbon, the greenhouse effect and the climate change will not be there. So therefore, it will have a sustainable. Means to sustain what we need a balanced one. So that balance will be achieved. Therefore, sustainability will be achieved.
Hope your questions clarified. Participants, still 10 minutes to go. If you have any doubts, please ask.
So here I would like to say about sustainability. So sustainability means what? See, when you do any activity or generate any product, anything, so that should not affect not only yours and the next generation. So in a way that other generation also can able to use the material available or the processes. So that is called sustainable. Okay. So if we use the renewable sources, so that will be there instead of the non-renewable, the fossil fuels. So we use the other forms, the solar and nuclear and the wind. So these are there. These will be there. So apart from we, the next generation and next to next generation, third and fourth generation also can be able to use it. So that is called sustainable.
Hello, participants. Still, if you have any questions, you can ask. We have 10 minutes more.
Now, what is carbon offsetting? So carbon offsetting means the energy we produce. So it should be renewable energy one, renewable material from the renewable material. So then only it will be otherwise it will have an offset, carbon offset. So if we reduce carbon emissions net zero, is there any environmental imbalance we may face? So apart from the energy one, there are other ways of like waste generation. So if we generate more waste, then also it will not be a balanced one. So it will make imbalance. So similar way, we can reduce the imbalance. Then even though we use renewable energy sources for production of cement, the equipment and machinery production to support that we will have carbon releasing to the atmosphere. See, that's what R&D research is going on to make an alternate methods for the equipments and other processes also, apart from energy. Okay. So therefore, they take care of their sustainable one, energy like cement produced in sustainable way. So some filled. Okay, this is link you have sent for filling the feedback. Anil Kumar.
Yeah, sir. He's a co-coordinator, sir. He sent the feedback form.
Yeah.
Participants, you have still 5 minutes to go. You can ask any queries. Okay, sir. Thank you very much for your wonderful session. Our next session speaker also joined now. So, sir, am I audible to you, Dr. Harish Kumar, sir?
Yes, absolutely audible. Good evening, all of
Okay,
you.
sir. Sir, before going to start the session, first I will end this session for asking the questions from the participants.
Sure.
Participants, this is the last 5 minutes chance to ask the questions. If you have any queries, please post in the chat box. Sir, Dr. Krishnamurthy, sir, thank you for your wonderful session. I hope they have clarified with their doubts.
Yeah.
So thank you. It's my honor, sir. So thank you for your wonderful session.
Okay.
Hope
So
we will connect
should I leave?
soon.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir.
Yeah. Good day.
Yeah, same to you, sir. Hello, participants. Within 5 minutes, our second session will be going to start. So we are closing the chat box now. Please, it's a humble request. Don't raise your hands. At the end of the session, you can ask the queries. Like just now, we had a session of 25 to 30 minutes of query session. So in that, you can ask your queries. Okay. So now, before going to start the second session, I would like to introduce our next speaker, Dr. Harish Kumar, sir. is currently serving as assistant professor at Symbiosis Skills and Professional University with over 20 years of experience in environmental sustainability and industry. Dr. Harish Kumar Agre has gained significant expertise in concept of green buildings. Dr. Harish Kumar Agre holds a PhD degree in field of study from Osmania University and has been involved in various teaching, research, administrative roles. Throughout their career, known for their mention any notable achievements such as leadership, innovations, research contributions. He had worked extensively on specific projects, research, or accomplishments that relate to the FDB theme. In addition to their academic and professional responsibility, Dr. Harish Kumar Agre has contributed to 10 publications, 5 conferences, workshops, or other activities. Their work has had a profound impact of mentioning the field, community, or impact area, and they continue to actively contribute to the development of specific field, program, or discipline. Dr. Harish Kumar has delivered lectures and workshops on environmental sustainability at conferences, universities, organizations, and the teaching style emphasizes key teaching philosophy, methods, or approaches that align with the FDB goals. They are passionate about sharing knowledge, mentoring, advancing the field, and are a strong advocate for relevant cause, initiative, or teaching approach. So it's my honor, sir, to give an introduction about you. So you can start the session, sir. I'm handing over to you.
Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Jalaluddin. It's a great pleasure to be a part of this wonderful 6-day faculty development program. So without wasting much of the time, we will just move on to the today's presentation.
Yes,
I just
sir.
like
Thank you,
to
sir.
share the thing with you.
Yes,
Yes.
sir, it's visible.
Is it visible to all of
Yeah,
you?
yeah, it's visible, sir. You can carry on.
Okay. Okay. So first and foremost, let me thank the the members of this institution, the coordinator, the convener, and the director of this civil engineering department. This is a wonderful initiative taken by Lord's Institute of Technology and conducting the Atal Online 6-day FDP on sustainability, innovation trends in civil engineering. I think we can see everywhere the buzzword coming across. It is all about sustainability, environment. Nowadays we can see it is mostly trending. So it is my once again pleasure to deliver a session on the topic called green building technologies. So I would just start with the outlines of the presentation for the topic. I hope it is visible to all of you, and
Yeah,
Yes.
it's visible and you are audible also, sir.
Okay, thank you so much. So basically, green building technologies. I think this is the topic which I am going to talk about. So if I make it full screen, I think I may not be able to see somebody raising hands and all the other
Yeah,
things.
sir. No problem. You can go like this only.
Okay, thank you so much. Okay. So today's topic, green building technology. I think you just go through the outlines of the presentation. I would be emphasizing more on the important aspects. Why what is the concept of green buildings? Why it has been introduced? What makes it very different from the conventional buildings? What are the principles involved in the concept of green buildings, right? So how does it make an impact, a positive impact on environmental quality? I think that is what we need to talk about. So we will go through multiple aspects, the principles of green building, what exactly are the things behind the concept of green building, right? Principles in the sense, what is it making different from the conventional building? So we need to understand what all the things are involved in the this green building concept, which is making it unique and contributing to environmental sustainability, right? So we would discuss on principles of green building, key green building technologies. key green building technologies, I would like to add some of the things, the way the things are going on across the globe. The whole world is talking about, multiple issues associated with environmental degradation. For that matter, it may be, the natural disasters happening, natural calamities frequently happening. It is an alarming situation for the whole world, in fact, I would say. So, what all the key aspects associated with these buildings we need to emphasize on, that we will try to understand. What is the role of energy efficiency? How, again, I would like to, make a point here, how carbon emission is making a huge impact. For that matter, the carbon footprint, which is being emitted from different sources. So what is the role of energy efficiency or the energy efficient technologies in, reducing the impact of carbon emission? That we will try to understand. Similarly, again, I think whether it is the urban areas or it may be associated with the rural areas of our country or across the globe, there have been multiple predictions by so many think tanks in the country. In fact, Niti Aayog is one of the important think tanks in the country, which has already predicted so many alarming situations with respect to scarcity of water. I think this is the time we need to. It's not only just to have the buzzword called environmental sustainability, but we need to actually have a very holistic approach, and we need to have a very positive thought process so that we can implement all these things in our day-to-day life. And one of the concepts associated is, again, the concept of green buildings. So as I was talking, water conservation, what is the significance of water conservation, or the best practices involved in water conservation, sustainable construction material, what all the different materials we can be able to use in the field of green buildings. Similarly, how do we manage the waste? I think these are all very important concepts. It would be an honor, isn't it? Waste management, water conservation, energy efficiency, smart and adaptive technologies, and what are the certifications and rating systems prevailing in India or across the globe, for that matter? Which standards we are following, which certifications do we have with respect to the concept of green buildings, whether it is at the international level or whether it is related to specifically our country. So we would also talk about the certifications and ratings, which has a significant role to play, right? When it comes to the following certain criteria with respect to implementation of green building technologies. Similarly, we would also emphasize on some of the important green buildings, in fact, available in India, which are a leading example, for the whole country, or they represent at the international level, isn't it? So that they may be a part of net zero or LEED certified platinum rating green buildings, so on and so forth. So we would also talk about the case studies. What exactly are the green buildings? How they are different from the conventional buildings usually we practice in our day-to-day life. And most importantly, what all the challenges and barriers in green building adoption. Of course, when we talk about the concept in a unique way, so there might be a lot of challenges and barriers coming across in adoption and following the things with respect to. Similarly, future trends. What is the future trend? In the near future, what is going to be the situation with respect to green building technologies? How the artificial intelligence or Internet of Things, or maybe some other important aspects, what is the role they are going to play? I think overall this is what we are going to discuss in the today's session on green building technologies. Yeah, with this brief outline, I would like to go into the details of the presentation. Yes, green building. What is a green building? Is it just that it is green in color? Absolutely not. The green in the sense, we need to talk about the concept of sustainable development. We need to understand what exactly is meant by environmental sustainability, right? So, I would like to brief a little on the sustainable development goals or the millennium development goals which came into picture in the era of 2000 or in the recent past. So the concept of before the concept of sustainable development goals, it was considered as millennium development goals. I hope many of you might be knowing how the concept of sustainable development goal came into picture, or the concept of sustainable development came into picture. So in the year 2000, if I'm not wrong, I think the concept of millennium development goals came into picture with certain what we can say certain goals. We can say there were eight important aspects the experts thought about at the international. I think these are the important aspects which needs to be covered and which needs to be fulfilled so that environmental sustainability in different aspects can be achieved. So with that ambition, I think Millennium Development Goals came into picture in the year 2000. But similarly, as the time passed on, maybe up to 2014 or 15, by that the experts or the scientific community or maybe the policy makers at the international level, they thought it's not somehow the Millennium Development Goals, they are not able to fulfill the important aspects associated with the international community. So in that sense, I think there was reframing of things, and that is how the concept of sustainable development came into picture in the year 2016. Probably 2015 or so, it the framework was being developed, and 2016 January onwards, I think Sustainable Development Goals with a broader aspect, we can say, that came into picture. I hope everybody knows how many development goals are there. 17 important development goals have been identified. 17 different important aspects have been identified. Maybe some of them I would like to suggest. I have already mentioned here one of the important development goal, that is SDG 11, Sustainable Cities and Communities. So why I am talking about sustainable cities and communities? Because ultimately, the sustainable development goals, they relate to three important aspects: the social aspect, the economic aspect, and the environmental aspect. So unless the social, economic, and the environmental aspect go hand in hand, we cannot achieve sustainability, right? So with this broader sense of maybe approach, 17 development goals came into picture. I think it started with SDG 1. It is no poverty, no hunger. Then we can say good health and well-being of the people. Then we have like gender equality, right? And similarly, we have SDG 6, that is very important: clean water and sanitation, affordable and clean energy, sustainable cities and communities, life below water, life on land, peace, justice and all, maybe collaborations and all. These are the very important what we can say aspects which needs to be understood and which needs to be overcome, so that at the global level we can achieve environmental sustainability, right? So as a part of achieving sustainable development goals, I think the concept of green buildings came into picture. So which might be a part of sustainable cities and communities, isn't it? So people, rather than staying in the maybe localized areas or the rural areas, they are trying to shift to the urban locations and all, in search of better standard of living, better there might be different aspects. So obviously the cities and tier 1, tier 2 cities and so on, they are getting overcrowded. If you look at what is the scenario behind the important aspects of environment, for that matter, whether it may be the quality of water, for that it may be the quality of air, I think it would be very difficult to understand that many of the cities from our country, they are leading in when it comes to the matter of air pollution, worst air polluted cities in the world. I think we are in the top 10 list. Similarly, there are so many things. The happiness index is also not the thing wherein we stand absolutely right, isn't it? So the socio-economic status or the environmental aspects or the human health part, so all these things matter a lot, isn't it? So that is how the concept of sustainable development, and that is how the concept of green buildings can be very important to everyone, isn't it? So it is simply a structure that is designed, constructed, and operated in a environmentally responsible and resource efficient manner, through proper planning, design, maybe maintenance, renovation, most importantly creating a positive environmental impact, isn't it? So taking care of the environmental aspects, I think trying to create a very positive impact on environment. That is how the concept of green buildings came into picture, right? So why do they become very important? As I said again, if you look at the conventional buildings, the way the resources are being utilized, the way the important resource water is being exploited, I would say, rather than exploring, it is being explored out. The way the societies and the urban sprawl is being developed in the maybe major cities of our country, it's absolutely alarming, isn't it? So that is why I think we need to emphasize on the concept of green building. We need to try to implement in our day-to-day life. Obviously it would have a wonderful impact. In fact, if you whenever if you get a chance to visit some green building, there is a lot of difference you can find, isn't it? So that is how a green building makes a lot of difference. What are the principles of green buildings? If you just look at, I think there are certain important things we need to understand about sustainable site selection and planning, right? So maybe how does it matter? Why the site selection or planning is very, very important in maybe implementing the concept of green building. Then energy efficiency. What is the role of energy efficient resources? What kind of resources we are going to use? As I said again, water conservation and management. What are the principles of water conservation? How do we manage the water resources efficiently? Imagine what is the per capita demand in our country. I think 135 liters per person per day is the amount of water required. But are we able to get that amount of water if we are specifically in the urban areas of our country? Do the corporations, do the municipalities, or whatever the government agencies are there, are they capable enough to provide the amount of water which is needed by the people, or the residents existing in, the skyscrapers or the, urban tall buildings and so on. So water conservation and management is equally important. So what are the practices we need to follow, right? I think, selection from the site selection to, energy efficiency, then water conservation and management, then the type of material we need to select, or, how do we reduce the waste, or overall we can say how do we manage the waste. I think, I hope everybody knows the principles of circular economy. What is circular economy? What are the key objectives of circular economy? How important role the principles of circular economy play in the day-to-day life. So material selection and waste reduction. I think overall everything is targeting to environmental quality, isn't it? So we need to focus on each aspect, so that overall environmental degradation can be reduced, or the carbon emission which is being enormously emitted, that has to be reduced, isn't it? So from the management of waste to the management of water, or the usage of energy in a very efficient manner, I think it is very important to understand. Then indoor environmental quality. Indoor environmental quality, when we are talking about, a particular green building. So how does, again, it becomes different from the conventional buildings? Most of the times we see, in the conventional buildings, people who are living in the conventional buildings, I think we can see nowadays, there is no proper ventilation, there is no proper exhaust of the waste gases, or the kind of things, isn't it? So absolutely, indoor environment quality plays a very important role. If it is, maybe unfortunately, if it is not proper, definitely that can lead to lot of consequences with respect to human health. So we would also look into what exactly, indoor environmental quality is all about. How do we manage the things? Then life cycle assessment and carbon footprint. I think I was telling you about, the products which are being, the material which are being used in the, maybe construction, from, I would say, from cradle to grave, maybe whatever the things, different type of materials involve manufacturing or processing, and maybe, all the processes involved, that can lead to a lot of carbon footprint, isn't it? So our basic objective, behind the concept of green building, absolutely is reducing the carbon emission, isn't it? The whole world, the way the things are happening around the world, in fact, in the recent past, the natural disasters, natural calamities, I think California's incident, or, we can see there are multiple things, natural disasters in the form of earthquakes happening in our own country, right? Landslides are happening, maybe floods are frequently happening. I think these are the things which are indicating the alarming situation. And unless we, act, unless we take certain very, stringent measures, it would be very difficult for all of us to sustain. So at the last point of this slide, green certification and compliance. So we would also try to understand, what are the different, certification systems, or what are the different agencies which are involved into, concept of green, whether it is IGBC, Indian Green Building Council, or whether it is United States LEED, or whether it is Bureau of Energy Efficiency. There are multiple things. There is GRIHA. There are different type of agencies involved in, maybe setting up certain standards with respect to green certifications and following the compliance, isn't it? So I think these, if we follow these principles, maybe if we follow certain criteria, we follow certain compliance, and then we are taking care of the indoor environment, or maybe the materials which we need to choose, then the best practices associated with water conservation, energy related things. Overall, I think these are the things which makes it very important and which makes it very unique from the conventional building. So that is how these are the aspects which are becoming very important in the concept of green. Key green building technologies. If you just look into what exactly the maybe technologies are being adopted in the green buildings, I think again energy efficiency technologies. When we talk about energy efficiency technologies, I think solar panels and photovoltaic systems play a very important role. Solar panels, everybody is aware of. It is one of the alternate energy resource. It is one of the renewable energy resource which is directly converting the sunlight into maybe energy, isn't it? So wind energy integration, I think wind energy, solar energy, these are all maybe renewable or the alternate energy resources which we can make a part of, integral part of the green building systems, and we can reduce the carbon footprint, ultimately the greenhouse gas emissions which are happening, that would be reduced. I think if you are able to reduce a few tons of emission of carbon dioxide, okay, so that can have a huge impact on the environmental quality, isn't it? So solar panels in the form of photovoltaics, then the wind energy integration, maybe smart lighting, the LEDs or the motion sensors nowadays, so many things are there into the market. I think this become an integral part of green buildings to reduce the energy consumption. Energy consumption is equally important. Unlike we are depending, country like India, I think 60 to 65% of the energy is being produced from using the fossil fuels. Maybe we depend mostly upon the thermal power, right? Again, when coal is getting combusted, it leads to a lot of emission of greenhouse gases, whether it is carbon dioxide, whether it is oxides of sulfur and all. So absolutely that plays an important role, and ultimately we need to reduce the carbon emission. Similarly, building energy management system, overall what needs to be done to manage the what needs to be done to perform smooth execution of these buildings. High performance heating, ventilation and air conditioning systems, what sort of devices and all which can be used in the green buildings, wherein that can make the building maybe comfortable, whether it comes to thermal comfort, whether it is cooling or maybe heating of things and all, maybe the walls which play a very important role, right? So I think there are so many things involved in heat, whether it is related to heating or maybe ventilation and air conditioning kind of a thing. I think that also equally matters when it comes to emission of carbon footprint. We'll try to understand what is the criteria for selection of site, or what is the planning needed in establishing a green building. Avoiding ecologically sensitive areas. I think everybody, maybe if you are a part of civil engineering, so you might be aware of what are ecologically sensitive areas. Ecologically sensitive areas in the form of like the biosphere reserves, or wildlife sanctuaries, national parks, or maybe green vegetation zones, SERs. there are so many things which might be ecologically sensitive. I think, as I said, the whole world, there have been so many international conventions, there have been so many conference of parties, just for the sake of, achieving sustainability, overall environmental sustainability. So in that scenario, the ecosystems also play a very significant role, isn't it? So ecosystems play a significant role in, maintaining the ecological balance. Unless there is ecological balance, it would lead to a lot of disruption, and that disruption can lead to, natural calamities. It can lead to, disasters, I would say. So avoiding ecologically sensitive areas, maybe, whenever a green building is being planned or trying to build up or, try to establish a building, I think we need to consider certain things. Maybe we should avoid the ecologically sensitive areas, avoiding, buildings on wetlands, floodplains, coastal zones, and biodiversity hotspots. As I said, again, wetlands, I think you might be aware of what are the wetlands available in India. Okay, so I think the part of West Bengal, we can say what is that? The Sundarbans. I think Sundarbans is one of the important wetlands in India. If you look at the scenario, gradually the wetlands are getting degraded. The sea, ocean ecosystem, the flow of ecosystem, ocean ecosystem is gradually increasing, and the wetlands are getting submerged. So wetlands play an important role in carbon sequestration. So ultimately, again, if there is no carbon sequestration or no carbon absorption, so that doesn't make sense, and it is leading to carbon footprint. So wetlands, maybe floodplains. I think the areas, the coastal zone specifically, I think these should be avoided. Hotspots, I think as I said, the flora and fauna, which might be very unique, the flora and fauna which is available only in a particular area and not elsewhere in any part of the world. So the places which are very unique with unique flora and fauna, they might be considered as hotspots of biodiversity, isn't it? So that is again important aspect, maybe to avoid planning a green building in such areas. Protect natural landscapes and avoid disrupting wildlife corridors. Similarly, as I told you, whatever the important historical monuments or natural landscapes or natural vegetations and all are there, absolutely we need to protect them. The climate and topography is also very important. What is the climate? What is the climate of a particular area? India is a quite diversified country with lot of biogeographical locations. So we need to understand what is the rainfall pattern, what is the type of soil existing, what is the source of water, so many important parameters we need to understand about the climate and topography. I think that we need to understand what type of a soil exists, the geotechnical parameters, so on. Then higher water and hydrology, again, we need to understand, whether it is a plain, whether it is, maybe plateau, or what type of a, topography, water resources, whether they are available in a nearby area, so on and so forth. Then energy and transport connectivity. I think we need to look at, energy and transport also, like, easily accessible things are available or not. Socio-economic and health considerations. I think one of the important aspects of, the concept of green buildings is, again, the, health and maybe social status of the people. We need to think about the lifespan. We need to think about the social status. We need to think about the health, conditions of the people. I think this becomes a very important criteria for, understanding about the site selection and planning when it comes to the matter of green buildings. Yes, if we just focus on water conservation and management. So what needs to be done with respect to water conservation or management of water efficiently, right? So for that matter, again, as the as the experts in civil engineering, I hope everybody knows what are the methods and practices which we need to understand about water conservation and management. I think rainwater harvesting system, everybody might be aware of what is the significance or what is the importance of rainwater harvesting system, but it is again very unfortunate to see everybody knows about rainwater harvesting system. In fact, there are so many projects which have been taken up by the government of India. There have been so many multiple projects with respect to water conservation. Hello? Yes.
Hello, sorry for interruption, sir.
Yeah, please.
Sir, slides are not changing. The participants have posted a query in the chat box, sir.
Sorry?
Slides, your slides.
Acha, huh.
Not changing, so they have posted query in the chat box.
Okay. I'll just a second.
Check out your screen, sir, please.
Okay. Thank you for the information. Just a second. Can you just see whether the screen is changing?
Now it's changing, sir.
So I think I should keep it in the normal mode rather than full screen size, so that it is changing, right? Is it visible then?
Yeah, it's visible, sir, and audible also.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Yeah, you can carry on, sir.
Okay. Yes, I think sorry for the interruption, guys. We were talking about water conservation and management. Please let me know if the slides are not changing or if there is any issue with the sound and audibility. Yes. So I was talking about rainwater harvesting system. In fact, the government of India is keen on maybe involved into so many water related projects. There are multiple projects being undertaken, and so many initiatives have been taken by the government. But still, I think it is a very alarming situation. I think, as I told you, Niti Aayog has already predicted in the year 2018 that by 2025 or 2030, most of the states, in fact, in India would be undergoing severe crisis-like situation with respect to water conservation. I think everybody is aware of, the rainwater harvesting system, how rainwater harvesting can be done, right? I think maybe we can adopt surface runoff, harvesting, or we can say rooftop harvesting. For that, there are kind of things like we need to understand the rooftop area, what is the total catchment area of a particular building, and maybe based on the catchment area, we need to develop the conveyance system, and ultimately we can make use of the whatever the rainwater is coming into the catchment, and we can utilize it. Either we can channelize it into the ground, or we can store it in the form of storage tank or so. So this is also a wonderful technique which can be a part of green building. I think it is mandatory again to adopt the principles of water management. Rainwater harvesting is a very important technique which is an integral part of green buildings. Grey water recycling and treatment, I think the the water which is coming out from the sinks or the showers, or maybe the water which has been used for bathing and all, so that has to be reused. Nowadays it is mandatory for the bigger societies or housing societies to reuse the wastewater or the recycling and treatment of grey water. Again, this becomes a mandatory part of green buildings, wherein the grey water, it has to be treated, it has to be recycled and reused for some other purposes. So that is also one of the important aspect. Smart water meters and leakage detection systems. I think many a times we see the water may be wasted in the form of leakages. So I think if we can take care of the leakages in the pipelines and maybe at the broader level, maybe in the irrigation systems and all, so that is, I think 30 to 40% of the water gets wasted in the form of leakages. So it can be taken care of, so that we can restore the wholesomeness of water. Smart meters, right? IoT enabled meters, maybe nowadays we can make use of Internet of Things and all, right? And we can monitor, we can detect the water levels, maybe unwanted wastage of water can be avoided, right? Low flow and water efficient fixtures, isn't it? Maybe people still they don't understand the importance of maybe the elixir of life. Water is considered to be an elixir of life, isn't it? So low flow or water efficient fixtures also makes a significant change in the usage of water, for that matter. Low flow toilets, showers, reduce water waste. So how do we, I think if we this becomes all this become a part of maybe conservation and management. So this definitely leads to efficient conservation and efficient management of water resources in the green buildings. Permeable pavements and green infrastructure. I think if we look at the green buildings, I think the aesthetics, the ambience of a green building is phenomenal. Maybe whenever if you get an opportunity to visit a green building, I think it is quite a wonderful opportunity. I think it is totally different from a conventional building, wherein you feel like there is a lot of comfort, the cool air flowing in different directions, the vegetation. I think all those matters a lot. So we can take care of these important aspects with respect to water conservation and management. Okay, then moving on to the next slide, I think you can just go through the comparison between the green buildings and the conventional buildings. If I say what is how the green buildings are different from the conventional buildings with respect to different parameters, energy efficiency. When it comes to energy efficiency, green building uses energy efficient technologies. I think solar panels, LEDs, smart lighting systems, and maybe smart HVAC systems, wherein conventional buildings, I think they depend upon the traditional systems. Material usage, again, the kind of material which is being used in the green buildings is sustainable, recycled, or eco-friendly, wherein conventional buildings, again, they use the conventional materials. When it comes to water conservation, just now we have discussed, I think, what are the ways through which we can efficiently manage the water system in the green buildings. Rainwater harvesting is an integral part, fixtures, or maybe low flow toilets, recycling, treatment. It becomes a very important part of green building, wherein I think conventional buildings, maybe up to some extent, they have certain provisions, but not fulfilling the criteria. Similarly, indoor air quality, I think, as I told you, this is something related to human health aspect. I think the people nowadays living in, crowded or very congested kind of, places that can lead to a lot of diseases. In fact, there is no proper ventilation, or, maybe the frequent exhaust, which is not being, out of the homes and all, so that can lead to maybe diseases. There are multiple diseases which are associated with low or maybe improper air quality. So absolutely, green building, it uses non-toxic kind of things, low volatile organic compounds, so on. बहुत सारी चीजें ऐसी which maybe makes a lot of difference. Carbon footprint, ultimately, carbon emission matters a lot. Reduced carbon footprint, I think energy consumption, when it comes to energy consumption, so if we are depending upon renewable or the alternate energy resources, obviously, the emission of carbon footprint would be very minimal. So that is how it makes a lot of difference, with respect to conventional buildings. Waste management, I think, the kind of practices which are being followed in a green building, maybe that is also very unique with respect to management of waste. I think if it has got a lot of green vegetation, vegetation zone or a kind of thing, maybe, organic waste and all, then definitely they make it, composting, and, the organic waste is being degraded, and ultimately it is being used as the nourishing material for the plants and all, wherein maybe in the conventional buildings, it may not be a usual practice. Operational costs, lower operational costs due to reduced energy and water usage in the green buildings. Yes, Kavya T has raised a hand. Yes, may I know any query? Okay. Whatever the questions you may have, you can raise your hands at the end of the session. Maybe we'll allocate some time for the discussion and taking up some questions. I think durability and maintenance, when it comes to the part of durability or maintenance, again, there is a lot of difference between green building and conventional buildings. Certifications, I think, it is a certified green building which is able to fulfill, so many criteria, isn't it? So unlike a conventional building, it won't be able to fulfill, most of the criteria. There is no specific criteria in conventional buildings. And overall environmental impact. So the environmental impact, I think negative environmental impact is minimum in green buildings, wherein conventional buildings usually they are responsible for consumption of much amount of energy, or not managing the waste efficiently, or water conservation related issues. There are multiple aspects which again make a lot of difference. So I think this is overall the difference between a green building and conventional building. Okay, energy efficient technologies in green building, I think, maybe, we can talk about the passive design strategies. Passive design strategies, I think there are so many things involved in, energy efficiency, or managing the things very efficiently, like, maybe double glazed windows are being used specifically in the green buildings. Then we have, cross ventilation, natural ventilation, and thermal mass. Okay, then high performance insulation. Maybe certain kind of materials can be used wherein insulate the buildings temperature and all the things are maintained in equilibrium. As we discussed, I think high efficiency heating or ventilation and air conditioning systems. I think geothermal heating and cooling, geothermal energy is also one of the kind of renewable energy resource which can be made use of, utilizing the underground temperatures to regulate the indoor climates. I think variable refrigerant flow systems. I think this is also one of the area wherein we can adjust cooling and heating based on the room occupancy and climatic conditions. Then energy recovery ventilation recycles indoor air while improving efficiency. This is also very important. Indoor overall the air quality is very important, because if we are leading a maybe life without proper ventilation and without proper exhaust, so that can also lead to a lot of diseases. I think this is something very important, maybe not a part of green buildings, but I thought I should share with all of you. There is a principle called AMG. So AMG, a three-step approach. I think it is related to avoid, minimize, and generate. Okay, so whenever first thing is like avoid unnecessary energy usage. I think everybody for that matter, isn't it? So whenever you are into the home, I think somewhere the fans are on, somewhere the electricity tube lights or the bulbs and so on, maybe air conditioner sometimes these may be put in a on mode. I think we need to stop that. We need to avoid the unnecessary usage of energy, then minimizing consumption through efficiency. I think that is what is the principle of concept of green buildings. I think if we switch to renewable, if we switch to alternate energy resources, obviously we are contributing to reduction in emission of carbon, right? So try to avoid the unnecessary usage of energy. Whenever there is no necessity, we need to take it very seriously and switch off all the things. Similarly, minimizing consumption. Many a times we see air conditioners are working for the whole night. I think it is absolutely not needed. Once the room temperature is regulated, I think immediately we can maybe switch off or put it in a very normal mode. So I hope you might be aware, if our electricity bill is, for example, I would say 100 units. आपके घर का अगर बिल electricity bill समझ लीजिए कि 100 unit, it comes altogether 100 units, minimum 100 units. I think every unit of consumption is equivalent to emission of 1 ton of carbon dioxide. So you can understand how much amount of carbon dioxide we might be able to generate from unwanted consumption of maybe appliances and all. So we need to avoid unnecessary usage of energy resources, then minimize the consumption, try to minimize it, and ultimately generate energy from renewable energy sources. Wherever it may be, sometimes it may lead to initial cost might be higher sometimes, but on a long-term basis, it would give wonderful results. So we need to switch to renewable energy resources. rather than making use of the conventional type of energy. So maybe it can be implemented in our day-to-day life. The three step approach, that is AMG: avoid, minimize, and generate, which might be leading to at least reducing some amount of carbon dioxide emission. Sustainable construction materials. What are the construction materials which may be of key importance? I think they are renewable and recyclable, sourced from renewable sources, low embodied energy, require minimal energy for production and transportation, non-toxic and low VOC, that is volatile organic compounds, improve indoor air quality by reducing harmful emissions. Many a times we make use of different type of paints and glues or kind of things in the internal structure. So maybe that may be made by using many of the volatile organic compounds, which may be harmful in some stance. Durable and long lasting, enhancing building longevity and reduce maintenance cost. So we need to consider this thing. Locally sourced, I think the material should be locally sourced, minimize transportation emissions, and support local economy. So I think these are some important aspects with respect to the material which needs to be used. Material selection and waste reduction. I think the same thing. Criteria for selecting a green building material, I think recyclability and renewability, it is one of the important aspects. Use materials that can be recycled, reused, or sourced from a renewable origin. Low embodied carbon and energy, maybe prefer materials with low carbon footprint. For example, fly ash concretes versus the traditional cement. Locally sourced, or maybe the material has a low transport impact. The materials which are available in the nearby vicinities, which may not again lead to a lot of logistics emission, carbon emission from different other things. That is, reduces transportation emissions and supports regional economies. Non-toxic and low VOC emissions, which is responsible for maintaining the indoor air quality by avoiding harmful chemicals. So many a times we see different type of paints, different type of fixtures, different type of materials, kind of a thing in the interior of the house. It might be used, so there is a chance that it can lead to lot of volatile organic compounds, which may be sometimes harmful. So I think we need to be cautious and careful when we are trying to select kind of material. I think durability and longevity increases building lifespan and reduces maintenance need. Maybe the material should be such that so it increases the efficiency or the lifespan of the building, and reduces frequent maintenance issues. Indoor environmental quality. When it comes to the green buildings, I think again it enhances occupant health and well-being. So obviously, as I said, if you try to maybe if sometime you get an opportunity to visit a green building, I think you can see the difference between the green building and a conventional building. Maybe in fact whatever the green buildings which have been constructed by adopting the principles of different certifications, they are focused, they are emphasizing on the occupants' health and well-being. I think this is one of the priority areas. Reduces sick building syndrome. Many a times we see people who are living in a household area wherein there is no ventilation or lack of ventilation or suffocation kind of a thing, and there is no proper going out of the indoor air and coming out of the fresh air into the house. So that can lead to a kind of health issue called sick building syndrome. People on a long term basis, specifically women, if they are stick to a household without going into the outdoors and all, I think it can lead to lot of health issues. Maybe nowadays most of the women, they are also very much prone and susceptible to kind of sunlight deficiency, vitamin D3, that might be a problem of lack of ventilation and allergies. I think frequent improper air quality indoors, that can lead to allergies. So sick building syndrome, something like people feel when they are into the household, I think that they feel very kind of dizziness, headache, or they have a lot of symptoms, and when they go out, maybe they feel very energetic and they feel very normal. So this is a kind of syndrome, or this is kind of a health related issue, which is very much associated with the indoor environments of a particular household. So I think we need to look into that aspect also, which is one of the positive aspects of green buildings. So it is again associated with productivity and cognitive functions. I think occupants' health, the aesthetics of the green buildings, it is amazing. It is wonderful, actually. You can feel the difference when you go into a green building. Minimizes exposure to pollutants and toxins, right? Maybe they won't use much of the volatile organic compounds or the toxic chemicals and all. So obviously that makes a lot of difference. Optimizes energy efficiency and comfort. I think these are some of the important aspects related to indoor environmental quality. Yes, I think this is also one of the important criteria with respect to green buildings. I hope you are able to see the screen. The certifications and rating systems prevailing in India. For example, major green building certifications in India, we follow, IGBC. IGBC, Indian Green Building Council. So it has got certain, ratings and certain criteria. For the very first time, I think in the year 2001, the Confederation of Indian Industry, they developed the framework for Indian Green Building Council. In fact, it is very obvious that the Confederation of Indian Industry, the business center which is available in Hyderabad, the building called Sohrabji Godrej building, I think it is one of the platinum rated green building in India, which is one of its kind. It is a unique platinum rated green building. If you get time to visit such type of a building, I think it would be a wonderful opportunity. The way the importance has been given to the architectural design, the type of vents they have designed, maybe the vegetation, the solar panels, or the waste management, absolutely wonderful. I think there are so many things to talk about, such type of buildings, but there is a criteria to be followed, to be a part of, IGBC's certification. So the basic criteria here is, if you just want to get certified, maybe, minimum 40 points are needed, I think, to get the certification from IGBC for following the best practices. If you want to be a silver rated green building, I think it is 60 to 69 with outstanding performance. Then there is a gold rated green building, that is, if you fulfill the criteria of 70 to 79 points, I think you can achieve national excellence. And the ultimate one is the platinum rated green building, which would have more than 80 points. If you acquire 80 or more than 80 points with respect to fulfilling the criteria for best practices, I think the building would get rated with platinum. So this is what the criteria. I think it is applicable for new building, new green buildings, new homes, new factories. In fact, schools and maybe the housing societies and all, which aligns with the Indian environmental regulations. So IGBC's, this concept is very unique, and it is equally important to follow. To get the certifications in India, I think it is mandatory to go through the IGBC certifications. So this is Indian Green Building Council rating system. Similarly, there have been certain other certifications in India. There is one more called GRIHA, Green Rating for Integrated Habitat Assessment. I think it is developed by the Energy and Resources Institute and Ministry of New and Renewable Energy. So the focus area for GRIHA is again energy and water efficiency, sustainable site selection, indoor air quality, the material being used, the best practices in waste management. So rating, it has got rating systems, we can say level 1 to 5, star ratings from 1 to 5. If a building is able to get 1 star, I think it is indicating the least, and if it is able to get 5 star, so it is the best rating as per the green rating for integrated habitat assessment. Similarly, the Bureau of Energy Efficiency, it is also one of the rating system being followed in India, again, which focuses on energy efficiency in commercial and residential buildings. So it is also following the star rating system, like 1 star indicating the least efficient to 5 star indicating the most efficient, applicable to office buildings, maybe hotels and hospitals. I think there is one more very internationally renowned rating system, that is LEED. So LEED is Leadership in Energy and Environmental Design. This is a US-based certification, which is again valued at the international level. In fact, in India also, we also follow the LEED certification system. We follow IGBC, or we also follow the LEED certification system. So this is again available for virtually all building types. LEED provides a framework for healthy, efficient, and cost-saving green buildings. So this certification is a globally recognized symbol of sustainability, achievement, and leadership. So these are the important rating systems in India: IGBC, GRIHA, or BEE, or LEED. I think these are some of the important rating systems which are being followed in India and at the international level. Again, to become a certified green building, we need to follow one of the important certification system, whether it is IGBC, whether it is LEED, or whether it is maybe GRIHA or BEE. So every rating system has got certain criteria to be fulfilled. Case studies of green building, I think I would tell you a few examples of buildings which are renowned for their I think uniqueness. I think Indira Paryavan Bhavan, I think this is one of the kind of building. It is considered to be India's first net zero energy building, It is a part of, it is a building which is associated with Ministry of Environment and Forest and Climate Change. So this is one of its kind, which was established in the year, I think, 2014. So the key features of this building, it is net zero energy. 100% of its energy needs are fulfilled through solar photovoltaic panels. Sustainable construction uses fly ash bricks, low VOC paints, and recycled material. Energy efficiency, chill beam technology for efficient cooling. Daylight harvesting, I think the building is designed in such a way that they use, the maybe solar energy to the maximum, reducing the, maybe artificial lighting system by 70%. Then water conservation, rainwater harvesting system meets 50% of water demand. Zero discharge building with on-site wastewater treatment. Amazing wastewater treatment and recycling technology is being followed. Green certification, it is a 5-star Griha and LEED platinum rated. It is a platinum rated LEED. In fact, 5-star rated Griha. There are so many certifications for this building. I think whenever as a part of civil engineering student, or maybe a faculty or an expert in this area, whenever we get to go to a green building, I think it would be a wonderful opportunity to visit a green building, because the aesthetics, the ambience it provides, it is amazing. Really, it is very unique with respect to comfort, with respect to human health system. All the things are taken care of. Absolutely, we feel like we are at a great place. The another example I would like to quote here is, as I said, IGBC has been started by CII, Confederation of Indian Industry, in the year 2001 or 2007, I don't remember exactly. But the building, Sohrabji Godrej Green Business Center. In fact, I got the opportunity to attend one of the workshops at this Sohrabji Godrej Green Business Center. It was an amazing experience. It is a LEED platinum rated green building. In fact, they have taken care of all, maybe rooftop plantation, rooftop garden, solar panels, the chill beam technology, vents, the architectural design, the vegetation, the water harvesting system. I think I felt, literally quite happy with the way the things were organized in this green building. So key features, again, it is very much associated with energy efficiency, the passive design and high performance glass reduce cooling loads. I think double glazed or the specific type of a glass which acts as an insulator and maintains the temperature conditions of the building. 40% of energy savings through LED lighting and automated control. I think energy saving has got a significant role. Then water conservation, zero discharge building with rainwater harvesting and wastewater recycling. Maybe there is no wastage of water, absolutely zero discharge, and they are 100% following the wastewater treatment and recycling processes. Eco-friendly material uses recycled fly ash bricks, bamboo, and low carbon cement. Again, it is having the certification, LEED certified and Griha certified. So in fact, as I told you, I have visited this building, so it was a wonderful experience. One more example quickly I would like to give. Suzlon One Earth. This is located in Pune. It is again one of the unique buildings, which is again LEED platinum rated green building, we can say. This is one of the greenest corporate campuses in the world, we can say. whenever if you are fortunate enough to visit this building, it would be a great pleasure. Suzlon One Earth, located in Pune, 100% renewable energy powered campus. Key features, again, energy efficiency, runs on 100% renewable energy, solar and wind. Day lighting design reduces artificial lighting needs by 90%. Water conservation practices, zero waste discharge, recycling and reuse. Sustainable materials have been used. Uses low carbon concrete and recycled steel. I think the material also, in fact, this is the basic criteria, but unless we fulfill the criteria, the certification may not be given. So 100% we need to stick to the basic criteria so that the building gets the best platinum rating or the LEED platinum or the Griha 5-star or so on. Yes, quickly, I will go through what are the benefits. I think everybody is aware of what are the important aspects associated with green buildings. Environmental benefits, the most importantly, if we switch to green buildings rather than conventional buildings, I think it is very important to understand that the carbon emission can be reduced or the carbon footprint can be reduced. Okay, that is one of the important aspects. Maybe the fossil fuel usage is also being reduced. Rather than using the fossil fuels, we would be switched to renewable kind of energy resources. Then economic benefits, lower energy cost. I think the initial cost might be comparatively higher with the conventional buildings, but on a long-term basis, maybe the energy cost would be getting reduced, or we would get the very reduced water bills and maintenance. Similarly, health and well-being. I think one of the important aspects of green building, this is better indoor air quality. With low volatile organic paints, maybe natural ventilation, reduces health-related aspects and all. Social and community benefits, improves overall quality of life. Access to green spaces, I think it is so spacious, you can perform so many things, and natural, what we can say, pure flow of air and all, natural light, clean air promotes mental and physical well-being. That is one of the very important aspects. Encourages sustainable behavior, educates communities about waste reduction, energy conservation, and eco-friendly maybe aspects. I think environmental benefits we have, economic or health and well-being related, or maybe the social and community related benefits. So these are overall socio-economic as well as human health and economic benefits are very much associated with green buildings. Challenges and barriers in green building adoption, I think as everybody is aware of, whenever it comes to following some unique kind of a thing, so there might be some challenges and barriers. So in adopting to green building concept, there might be certain challenges and barriers we come across. So high initial cost, maybe comparatively the cost of building initially, maybe it would incur high initial costs. That is one of the maybe I would say one of the little bit worrisome aspect. Then limited awareness and expertise. I think not everybody is aware of the things needs to be done, certifications needs to be done, the basic criteria has to be followed. So much more awareness is required, wherein people may not be aware and they have limited awareness and expertise. That is also one of the challenge, we can say. Regulatory and policy barriers. I think once green building has been established, continuously it has to be monitored, it has to be maintained, the compliance criteria has to be fulfilled. So maintaining the regulatory and policy affairs may be one of the challenges with respect to green buildings. Lack of financial incentives and support. I think as of now, we don't have any specific information that any kind of financial support, or maybe some funding, or maybe some what we can say government support is available. So I think that is also one of the constraint with respect to green buildings. Technical challenges and climate constraints. I think, as I said, everything has to be very strictly followed. I think whether it is energy efficiency system, whether it is water management, whether it is the material requirements, the climate constraint, I think it needs to be stringently followed. That might be becoming a little challenge, for the people to manage. Resistance to change and market demand. I think this might be one of the challenge again. Then performance monitoring and maintenance issues. Obviously, comparatively with the conventional building, monitoring and maintenance is required in a green building. It has to be always monitored. It has to be always maintained. The recycling, the what we can say, the treatment processes, then the harvesting, then the vegetation, the type of flora and fauna, the type of vegetation it is available, that has to be maintained very frequently. Monitoring and maintenance has to be taken care of. So that might be one of the challenges in green building adoption. Future trends in green building technologies. I think future trends, I think our Prime Minister has already declared that India is also going to be net zero by the year 2070. I think still we have much more time, but the way the things are happening in India, I think we are also equally contributing to solar energy systems. In fact, China is the leading nation with respect to solar power in the global scenario. But again, India is also equally playing an important role and switching to alternate energy resource. So net zero energy and carbon neutral buildings, maybe it is one of the future trends. 3D printing in sustainable construction. I don't have much idea about this, but artificial intelligence and IoT, again, it is also playing a very important role. Maybe automation in the household kind of a thing, that is also playing a very important role. Hydrogen and renewable energy integration. Maybe in the near future, hydrogen cells and all, they are going to play a key role. Circular economy. I think everybody might be aware of what is circular economy and what are the key aspects of circular economy. I think reduce, reuse, recycle, refurbish. The material which we are trying to the raw material which might be used. We need to design such that it can be reused, recycled, or refurbished, or it can be upcycled. I think this is what the principles of circular economy says. So that is how the future trend depends in the near future with respect to green building technologies. Similarly, I just thought I would share one important concept which is being followed across the world. I think some of the developed nations, they are trying to test a model called 15-minute city. Maybe I don't know how many of you are aware about this concept called 15-minute city. So this is a very unique concept which is being tested and tried across some of the important cities of some of the countries. So the core idea is to create a more walkable, bikeable, and transit-friendly urban environment where residents can access essential services and amenities locally, reducing reliance on cars and promoting sustainability. So, बोलने का मतलब ये है कि the concept is something like within the reach of 15 minutes, I think everything would be available so that we can make use of bikes, we can make use of cycles, we can make use of either you can go through walk, and everything would be available just within the reach of 15 minutes. So the kind of a model is being designed and developed, but it is under again trial and error, we can say. There are so many cities wherein it is being tried to be followed, but again it has not been 100% foolproof, what we can say. It is not effective that much again. So this is one concept. Maybe many concepts in the near future might arise, and we need to be looking forward for that. Conclusion, I think overall conclusion of this thing would be innovative solutions. I think green building technologies provide cutting-edge solutions that promote sustainable construction practices for a overall healthier environment. Energy efficiency, embracing energy efficiency in construction reduces energy consumption, leading to lower utility costs and environmental impact. Renewable energy integration, incorporating renewable energy resources like solar power into buildings, supports sustainability and reduces reliance on fossil fuels. And sustainable practices. Adopting to sustainable building practices ensures that construction methods are not harmful to the environment and benefit future generations. So the important objective, the overall takeaways from this concept of green buildings, innovative solutions, maybe energy efficiency, renewable energy integration has to be done, and sustainable best practices. I think these are some of the important aspects of the green building concept. Yes. So, use the resources very efficiently. Think about the conservation, and whenever it comes to the matter of using resources, think twice before you use, because there is no planet B. So that's all from my presentation. Thank you very much. So if you have any questions and queries, yes, I'm open to take the questions.
Hello, thank you very much, sir, for your wonderful session. So,
yes, thank you so much.
Participants, please, if you have any queries, you can post your queries into the chat box.
Sure, somebody has written, I think.
You can send your PPT, it's useful for my reference and study. Yeah, sure, sir. After the end of whole FDP sessions, we are going to post 13 sessions presentation through official mail IDs.
Yes, yes, sure. We will share with the PPT to the organizers so that they can send it to all of you. Maybe you can.
Yeah, sure, sir.
Yeah. Yes, thank you so much, all of you. If you have any questions, quickly, I would be happy to
Participants, take. If you have any queries, you can post it in a chat box. Still, you have a time. Dr. Rachana Rana is saying, thank you, sir, for attractive sessions.
Thank you so much, madam. Yes, thank you, all of you. Maybe if one or two questions, if you can quickly ask, we would be happy to interact and take maybe some discussion on that. Thank you so much, all of you, for your comments. Indeed, it was a pleasure, delivering the session and sharing my thought process.
One question arrived from Mauna. Is India offering any tax rebates, lower home loan rates, subsidies, and fast-track approval to encourage green buildings?
Achha. Tax rebates, I think it is maybe, I think we have subsidies and all with respect to the renewable energy resources. In fact, with respect to solar energy usage or the wind energy resources, there are certain kind of subsidies and tax rebates being provided by the government. In fact, but not exactly, I think, with home loan. The question, may I go through the question once again?
What may be the minimum cost to establish green buildings?
What would be the cost to?
What may be the minimum cost to establish green building? Question arrived from Krishna Pathak.
Acha. So green building, I think again it depends upon the the total size of the building, how much area you are going to build up. That is equally important, right? So we can't just predict the approximate cost just like that, because we need to understand certain basic criteria. What is the total area wherein the building is going to be established or constructed? Based on that, we can predict. I think minimum cost would go around, as I said, as we discussed, initial cost would be little higher when compared to the conventional buildings.
One more question, sir, from Peer Mohammed Sheikh. What are some challenges in construction green buildings in India?
Of course, we discussed, I think, some challenges in the construction green buildings. Challenges is like, again, the maybe initial cost or the maintenance, it has to be frequently monitored and maintained. That is one of the important challenge. Or maybe, the raw material, purchase and things related to use of the raw materials with respect to constructing the green buildings. That is also one of the challenge, right? And maintaining overall quality of the green building in a continuous process, it also might be one of the important challenges, because conventional buildings, sometimes we may take the risk, or we may not take. But in the green building, I think we need to strictly follow to the criteria. Then only the rating system would be given. So there are certain things which we need to 100% follow, and in that process, maybe there are certain challenges and difficulties.
Hello, participants. Still, if you have any questions, you can ask. We have 5 minutes. So before going to ask the questions, please open your cameras as per Atal FDP requirement. All participants, please open your cameras. Sir, will you...
Should I stop sharing the thing?
Yes, sir, yes.
Okay.
Now you can open your cameras, guys, please.
What role do government incentives and just a second.
Tax credits play promoting green buildings?
Okay, just a second. What role do government incentives and tax credit play promoting green buildings, sir? I think that you might be knowing about the what we can say, what is that clean development mechanism. Are you aware of? I think there are substantial subsidies and tax benefits being provided, but it differs from case to case. If you really follow the concept of green building, maybe energy efficiency, water conservation, multiple aspects, then definitely government has got certain provisions wherein they might provide us with some incentives, or maybe rebate in the tax, or maybe some subsidies being provided. In fact, if you collaborate with some other country, or for example, a company like Tesla, you can take, or Tata, you can take example, right? And if they are following the maybe renewable energy kind of a thing, maybe clean development mechanism technologies, I think there are certain what we can say credits being offered, like carbon emission CERs. I think It is a part of clean development mechanism, wherein if you are really trying to reduce the carbon emission following certain renewable or alternate energy resources, in that case government is very keen to provide you with a lot of incentives.
Participants, please switch on your camera for just 1 minute.
I think in this budget also, the government has allocated so much of fund towards the environmental sustainability. So that is also one good aspect with respect to concept of green. Maybe whatever the things related to environmental sustainability, definitely there is importance being given by the government.
Hello, thank you very much, sir, for the session. It was a wonderful session, and it's a very nice session, sir. And all the participants, the session is going to end now. So we will meet tomorrow. I have a happy Holi in advance, and happy Holi, sir.
Yes, thank you so much, Jalaluddin. It was, in fact, your initiative which has given me the opportunity to, deliver a session on this concept.
No, sir. That means
thank you to you
no,
and
sir,
your,
that means a lot. It's my
whole
honor to share a screen with you.
absolutely. Thank you so much, Jalal.
Thank
So
you, sir. Thank you.
shall I take off?
Yeah, sir, you can. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, all of you. Thank you so much.
Yeah. All the participants, the session is going to end now. We will meet tomorrow at 6 o'clock for the new session.